Welcome friends to another r/am I the jerk here video. Would you be the jerk for wanting to file for child support? We'll find out, but first a story from Chanop. Am I the jerk for telling my girlfriend she isn't allowed to have kids over at our house? So basically just as it sounds, I'm 28-year-old male, my girlfriend Kelly, 26-year-old female, has 3 siblings. All of them have kids, and she's close with all of them. She has major love for her nieces and nephews. I love that for her, but me myself am not a huge fan of kids right now. Eventually, yes, I wouldn't mind having kids, but right now, no, I don't want them around. I bought my house 2 years ago. Kelly moved in about a year ago. Here's how the financial situation plays out. I pay for all the mortgage and insurance. Kelly contributes groceries, Wi-Fi, utilities, and does most of the cleaning. She cleans because she's a neat freak, not because I ask her to. She just likes to do it. I have it set up this way because I want to be responsible for the mortgage and don't want her paying on it in case we were to break up. So I don't mind contributing triple what she does to the household. My place is very much in my style, lots of electronics and sports memorabilia. I have a nice bar with alcohol and wine on it. I also have all my golf and sports equipment displayed. I have nice couches and my place is very modern, not a kid-friendly environment. Recently, Kelly's been bringing her nieces and nephews over. I have a real issue with this. The kids range from 14 to 2, and I don't want them around my stuff. They could steal my alcohol, break my stuff, and kids are just messy. They're dirty too, and I just don't want them in my space. So I've told Kelly it's simple. Spend as much time with your nieces and nephews as you want, just can't be inside my house. Go watch them at your siblings. She's saying that's unfair because sometimes her sister asks her to watch her kids when she needs to clean their house up or needs them out of the house. I said to take them to the park or mall or something, just anywhere but here. She's saying it's her house and she can do what she wants. I said it isn't her house. It's mine, and if she doesn't like the no kids rule, she's free to leave. But I'm not risking my things for the sake of her nieces and nephews. I just know if the kids were to mess crap up, she wouldn't pay me back for it, so she can just go to her family's house to watch them. I've been called the jerk for this. Am I the jerk? I think it's safe to say that OP is the jerk here. And would you guys agree with me when I say it just feels like these two aren't really that compatible? Clearly they both feel very differently on this issue, and I think it's a bit weird for OP to hold, "Oh, this is my house," over their head when they've been living there for a year. And whether or not OP says that they do or don't contribute to the household, the fact that they've been living there for a year, take care of the place, clean up, utilities, Wi-Fi, it's just as much their house too. They might not own it, but I feel like they should have a say in the living situation. OP's gonna hold it over them and say, well, if you don't like it, get out. And maybe that's the right thing to do. Do you guys agree? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is from Final Cream 6177. Am I the jerk for kicking out my maid of honor out of my wedding party because she was being a buzzkill? My 27-year-old female best friend Kathy, 26-year-old female, is a professional wedding planner and has helped host hundreds of weddings. We've basically grown up together, and having a professional also help me with a wedding free of cost was very ideal. I made sure to shower her with gifts to repay her for the help she offered throughout that journey. Now the wedding's in a month, and in 2 weeks it's my bachelorette weekend. Kathy notified me and the other girls of all that she had arranged and which Airbnb she booked, but she said she didn't want to participate, which came as a shock to me because how are you going to plan everything but not participate? The girls told me she had a very valid reason, but it wasn't their story to tell, so I should ask her directly. I asked her and she replied, "Look, you've made some requests for your bachelorette party, and I respect everything you want to do, but there's some things that are off limits for me. And some of the stuff, such as the strippers I've booked for you and some other activities, are crossing boundaries regarding me and my own fiance's relationship. So I made sure to arrange everything perfectly just how you and the girls wanted it to be, but sadly, it's not something I want to be involved in. I hope you have the greatest fun." I was truly heartbroken and tried to suck it up, but as the days went by, instead of feeling more at ease with that thought, I got more upset. I tried to talk to her about it to change her mind, but she wasn't having it. She later also said that, just to warn me, that she won't drink any alcohol at the wedding because she doesn't want to get sick, because she's very lightheaded. I got very disappointed, and at that moment I straight up told her I don't want her as a maid of honor if all she's going to do is be a buzzkill about everything regarding my wedding, and how she can attend as a simple guest. She got very upset and thought it was unfair of me excluding her for these reasons. The rest of my bridesmaids now also believe that I took it too far, and how her skipping the trip for personal or not drinking alcohol is not something that would ruin my wedding and I'm just overreacting. Am I the jerk? I think beyond a shadow of a doubt OP is the jerk here, and it's all about respecting boundaries. The fact alone that this person is comfortable enough going to OP and saying, I fully support you and your wedding and you enjoying everything the way you want it to, it's just a boundary of mine that I don't want to cross. I think you should be thankful that they're even brave enough to say that to you. You're treating your wedding like a college frat and you're kicking them out because they don't want to do any keg stands or something. Honestly, I feel like maybe this friend's too good for OP. This next story is from TA Mama of 3. Am I the jerk for paying first-class airfare for my nanny and not my son? Me, female, and my husband, male, had our first child Matt, 18-year-old male, when we were just 17 years old. We weren't in a very good financial situation at first, and it only got better when Matt was 9. Currently, we both work well-paying jobs, buy a spacious home, and have our luxuries. We had 2 more children, 8-year-old male and 5-year-old female. As we can't stay at home all the time, we hired a nanny, May, 45-year-old female, to take care of the little ones. Matt had a complicated personality change at age 11. We put him in private school, and maybe the contact with other teenagers brought out a selfish and elitist side of him. We tried our best to try to improve it, but with the onset of adolescence and stubbornness, it just seemed to get worse. It got better when my husband and I decided that at age 16, he would work part-time, so he could start taking financial responsibility, and that seemed to give him a reality check as we cut our support on his perks. This year, after the worst period of the pandemic, my husband and I decided to go on an international trip, and instead of giving May a vacation at home, we decided that we would take her, not going to work, and pay for everything. I don't live in the US. Matt, on a random day, overheard me talking to my husband that I was planning to pay for a first-class seat for May and her son for her to enjoy like we did. He asked why we should do this. We were already paying for everything. Let her go economy class if she can't afford first class. I was shocked. I said that it was mean to say this and that she was an important person for our family who gives up having time for her own child to take care of mine. It's the least I can do. He still stood his ground, so I said if he sees it that way, I said I'd buy him an economy seat, and he'd have to turn around and pay for an upgrade for him to see how privileged he is to have parents who can pay. He nodded, thinking it was a joke, even though I said it wasn't. As the months went by, and I warned him that his ticket was economy, he didn't believe it. On the day of the trip, like a shocked Pikachu, he was startled when he realized I told the truth. He threw a tantrum in the middle of the airport, saying that 10 hours of travel would be very uncomfortable. I just replied, "You had 6 months to gather. You've been warned." The flight was okay, but Matt was outraged the entire trip, saying that it was almost torture and that we'd gone too far. My husband agrees with me, but my parents said I went too far doing this. Am I the jerk? I think OP's definitely not the jerk. 1, because they tried earnestly to legitimately warn them. 2, flying in economy, yeah, it definitely sucks compared to first class, but it doesn't hurt you. It's not like a torture device. God forbid you don't get the lobster dinner in economy, now you're gonna really suffer, it's torture. Mother, I think you've gone too far, I had to sit with the peasants. This next story is from Restaurant Dinner 49. Am I the jerk for getting mad at my sister for coming to a family dinner with her baby? I, 32-year-old male, am engaged to Jessie, 30-year-old female. We've been together for 7 years and have been trying for a baby for the past 2. Originally, I was planning to propose to her during a family dinner at a Michelin star restaurant, so I paid for 12 people to be there, including her and my families. I made the booking nearly 10 months ago. However, plans have changed, and instead I've proposed during one of our holidays as the time felt more right. 2 months before the dinner, we find out that Jessie is pregnant. I was beyond happy to hear that. so we decided to use the dinner to announce the pregnancy instead, alongside with talking about wedding preparations. The place is rather high-end, so it has a strict dress code and set of rules to follow. Dinner was yesterday. My sister Emily decided to bring my nephew Kit with her, who is still breastfed and is currently teething. He's 6 months old. So instead of celebrating Jesse's pregnancy, a lot of people were feeling uncomfortable due to my nephew crying nearly constantly. And the owner of the restaurant at some point asked us to leave since kids were not allowed and my nephew was disturbing the other guests. I had no choice but to ask Emily to leave. She was hesitant at first, however, I reminded her of the rules of the place, and in no way or form did she contact me to ask if it would be okay to bring Kit with her. She's tried to defend herself saying he's young, but her boyfriend, who's also the father, could have stayed with Kit since he finishes work at 4. I've also told Emily how disappointed I was with what she did, as she ruined the dinner by bringing Kit in the place not made for kids. Emily didn't like that and left. The rest of the dinner went okay-ish, but I could feel the tension. Later that night, my mom and my aunt wasn't present as she lives quite far away and can't really travel, both called me to tell me that what I did was a jerk move, and Emily's now upset and I need to apologize. Jesse's upset too, but because she felt like everyone paid attention to Kit and were trying to calm him down instead of congratulating us or discussing the wedding, what the dinner was about. So, am I the jerk? I think OP's not the jerk. I think this is a situation where, as a parent with a newborn kid, you need to make sure that wherever it is you're going is child-friendly, because not every place is going to be accommodating for a 6-month-old child, especially not a Michelin star restaurant. Our next story is from Confident History 14. Am I the jerk for wanting to serve my ex papers for full custody and child support for my daughter now that he has a new baby? I, 31-year-old female, have a wonderful 7-year-old daughter I would go to the moon and back for, and have been supporting her as a single parent. My ex, 31-year-old male, hasn't really been in her life since we split when she was 2.5. He hasn't paid child support for the last 4 years and has sporadically visited her at his parents' home when she visits. He says he'll visit her while hyping her up and then not show up, only to give BS excuses on why he never showed up, leaving her devastated and upset that he didn't want to spend time with her. He's blamed me for everything under the sun, which I can prove to not be true. For example, he blames me for not calling him so he can video chat with her on my days off, when he doesn't even attempt to try in the first place on his days off. He even stated he couldn't pay child support because he was rebuilding his car. My ex has seen multiple girls in the past 4 years, but has been seeing his current girlfriend for about a year at this point, and she has a 3-year-old daughter. He shunted our daughter to be his girlfriend's daughter's father, doing father-daughter activities like going to the pumpkin patch, holidays, and spending time with the 3-year-old. He forgot his own daughter's birthday for 2 years in a row, and possibly for a 3rd time this year. His family and I heard a rumor that the girlfriend was pregnant 3 or 4 months ago. His parents wanted to be in the baby's life, and I was ecstatic that my daughter would have a half-sibling, since I don't want more kids. He vehemently denied that she was pregnant, and we left the subject alone. Well, about 10 minutes before I started my shift, I was told and shown that my ex-girlfriend had their baby girl that morning. I was livid. He had lied to all of us that the baby was coming and severed whatever trust we had with him left. I started looking at family attorneys in my city because I know this will get messy. He wants parental rights without having to lift a finger or pay child support. I want full custody since our daughter lives with me full-time. Before people ask, no, he's not in our daughter's life unless he wants to others to see he's being a good dad. The last time he visited her, she didn't recognize him at all. Yes, I've filed for child support several times in the past, only for them to die in court because he didn't want to sign the paperwork. I'm at my wit's end with him. I vented to a close couple of friends and close coworkers about this, and the majority are saying that I'm the jerk because I should be excited for the new baby, and that with the new baby he won't have the funds for child support. Am I the jerk if I go through with getting a family attorney and serving him papers while he's caring for a newborn? I think OP's not the jerk because it's pretty clear that this guy has just all but settled on abandoning them. I think it's actually pretty obvious that this guy is slowly growing the distance between them before hopefully he can just run off into the sunset with a new baby and new life. As hopeful as OP is, I don't think there was ever going to be a future where OP's kid plays with their half-sibling because the dad won't engage in any of it. Definitely get that child support. Our next story is from I Love Waffle Fries 1225. Would I be the jerk for wanting immodest bridesmaid dresses for my wedding? I, 20-year-old female, am getting married next summer. I grew up in a very religious household, but was able to flee the toxicity, as I like to say. The rest of my family are all still very active members in that church. I asked my two sisters, 22 and 17, to be my bridesmaids. Within said religion, once you reach a certain age, you're eligible to make extra promises, and one of those promises is that you'll remain chaste. No premarital sex, wear modest clothing, etc. You're then given the magical underwear to wear at all times. They essentially resemble knee-length shorts and a cap-sleeve t-shirt, but an underwear-type material. Earlier today, we went shopping for bridesmaid dresses. The vision I have for my wedding is simple but particular. I would prefer my bridesmaids to wear the same dress, spaghetti straps, knee-length, flowy, semi-exposed back and chest. My mom and older sister, during the entirety of this appointment, sat there and told me that I needed to be accommodating towards her religious needs with finding a dress for her that completely covers her underwear. Normally, I wouldn't have a problem with this, but this is for my wedding. I'll wear what she wants for hers, so I don't get why it's such a big deal for mine. My mom tried to say that it was the same as a Muslim woman wanting to accommodate for her hijab. Please correct me if I used the wrong terminology. Or a member of Jewish faith wearing a yarmulke. Again, please correct me if needed. I don't know if maybe it's because I'm looking at it all with poop-colored glasses, but I don't think it's the same thing. They're just underwear to me, and people have to wear underwear to accommodate different clothing all the time. So why is this any different? Anyways, part of me just wants to rescind my invitation for her to be in the bridal party, since it's already caused so much drama. But I know that it'll only cause more if I do. I'd be risking my younger sister pulling out as a bridesmaid, and I would be risking losing the financial help my parents have offered, that I'm incredibly grateful for. I don't want her to be uncomfortable, but I also want my wedding to look and be a certain way. So, am I the jerk for not choosing a dress that accommodates her? I think OP is the jerk, and I think the distinction that they're failing to understand here is that although I guess they would say escaped this religion, their sisters still practice it. And while it might just be underwear to you, to them, it actually really means something. And frankly, to look at them in the face and try to argue that you don't have to accommodate for them at all is actually pretty insulting. So I wouldn't blame any of them for being kind of outraged over this. It might not be your choice to follow that religion or even think it's practical, but they do. And I think the least you can do is show them respect towards that, especially if it's a modesty thing. Our next story is from Frosty Foundation 130. Am I the jerk for leaving my friend group chat after being left out at a wedding? I, 23-year-old female, am being called petty and immature for trying to leave my friend's group chat after my feelings were hurt. I have a very large friend group that hangs out all together a couple of times a year. We have a large group chat which we use regularly to share memories and photos. As I mentioned, it's a very large group, about 18 people. As such, obviously we aren't all equally close. Some of the connections between people in the group is mainly mutual friends. However, we do all generally go to the same parties. Well, one of the people in this group was getting married, and although we've known each other for a couple of years now, I'm not close friends with her. I suspected I wouldn't get an invite to her wedding because she said it was more of a low-key event, and I knew she didn't have a lot to spend on it. When it came time to send out our invitations, I received a call from one of our mutual friends, whom we're both close with. My friend wanted to tell me that the bride felt really awful about it, but that she couldn't invite me to the wedding because of limited space. I immediately reached out to her and let her know that there were no hard feelings and that weddings were stressful enough. I did feel a little bad about not being invited, but I also assumed that there were other people in our friend group receiving similar calls. Well, as it turned out, I was completely wrong. This weekend, my group chat blew up with pictures from the wedding, and while I was looking through them, I realized that I had been the only one who didn't receive an invite. What was worse is that everyone who had a significant other had gotten a +1. Even my friend who had started dating his girlfriend after I was told they couldn't invite me. I was so embarrassed. I've been very insecure about friendships the majority of my life because I've had multiple people upgrade to someone more popular than me. So I suppose because of this, I got upset and decided I didn't want to be a part of the entire group anymore, and I left the group chat. That's when my friends started reaching out to me asking why I had left. Some of them were understanding, but my best friend told me that it looks really bratty and petty. Now I'm feeling bad because I really didn't want to put a damper on their wedding joy, but being excluded really hurts my feelings. So now I'm worrying. Am I in the wrong? I don't think OP's in the wrong here because I don't understand how they can have all these +1 invitations and then somehow not be able to invite OP to the party. I just don't get it. Obviously, how is that going to make anybody feel in this friend group? Everybody else gets invited and their significant others, and you're the one odd man out? I mean, that kind of puts the writing on the wall, right? They clearly don't value you like they do everybody else in that group. Not only that, 16 out of 17 people were invited, and not any of the other 15 stood up for you or said that you should be invited too? If that isn't even more writing on the wall, I don't know what is. This next story is from DoBig2584. Am I the jerk for not going on what was meant to be my birthday trip since my sister went? I'm 16-year-old female and was meant to be doing this for my 17th birthday. Just a little early since my birthday is November, and we were meant to go for 10 days. My parents had said that it would be just me and them, and it was meant to be the first vacation I could enjoy, since my sister's always been a problem. She's 14 and she's had mental health problems since she was very young, and it comes out in really disruptive ways. She acts out. She gets into a lot of trouble. She doesn't like being around people. She'll curse and scream and cause a scene everywhere. Any vacation we've done has been spoiled by this. And I know it's not entirely her fault, but I never enjoy them. I always hate going. So when my parents said they wanted to give me an experience instead of a physical gift for my birthday, I told them I didn't want her there. She was meant to stay with our aunt, who has training as a psych nurse and is the only person outside my parents who can handle her. But then my sister found out about it and told our parents she felt bad. So a week before we were meant to go, they told me she was also coming. And that is when I said I would not be going. That they didn't get to ruin what was meant to be my birthday present by having her there. My parents asked me what they were supposed to do, and I told them they were meant to give me one thing that she can't spoil or ruin. My sister was really bad leading up to it too, and I ended up staying with my grandparents while she went. And they were miserable coming back, which made me even more glad I didn't go. My sister told me it was meant to be for me, and I had to walk away because otherwise I would have told her to her face that I didn't want her ruining it for me. My parents told me I should have still gone, that I made them feel crappy, made them feel guilty. I said good. They told me I should be more understanding. I said I was, but that if I can't enjoy my own birthday treat without it being ruined, then it's not worth it for me. I told them I'm perfectly aware that she's not totally in control and that she's got many issues all diagnosed, but that I can't overlook how things get ruined when she's there, or how my birthday trip became all about her darn feelings when mine have been hurt countless times. My parents and I have tension there since. My sister also heard everything we said, and she ended up being taken to the hospital by the police as a result. Am I the jerk? This is a painful one, but I think OP's not the jerk here because I think it's valid that disabilities or issues or whatever aside, OP deserves to have things that are meant for them, solely for them, that they can enjoy. Especially in a situation like this where they set up everything for OP to enjoy, finally we're going to have that thing, and then drop the bombshell back on them a week before it happens. That's not fair to anybody, and I think it's justifiable how OP feels. This next story is from GlitteringBall2429. Am I the jerk for calling the cops because no one picked up the kid I was babysitting? My boyfriend and I took his ex's kid for a last-minute overnight stay since the father of the kid canceled on her. She had plans with her friends for the night, and we weren't busy, so we took him overnight when the baby daddy bailed on her. We told her we had brunch reservations the next morning at 11, and while we were happy to help, she needed to pick him up by 9 a.m. She knew this and agreed when she dropped him off. Well, the next morning it's 9 a.m. and she isn't here yet. We text and call her with no answer. 10 a.m. rolls around and we try calling her again. She picks up in a very groggy voice and tells us she's got the worst hangover and she won't be picking him up till 2 p.m. We remind her of our brunch reservations and she tells us to take him with us. The kid is 2 years old. It's not enjoyable to take a child this age out to eat. My boyfriend cancels our reservations and gets ready to have this kid until she decides to pick him up. I am furious at this point. This isn't my child, nor my boyfriend's child. I call her and tell her that if she's not here by noon, I would be calling the police to collect her child. She only lives 15 minutes away. She calls me a witch. I then told her she had 30 minutes to come get him. I waited an hour and there was zero sign of her. We couldn't drop the child off to her since she lives in an apartment complex that you need to have access to get in. So I called the cops and told them I was babysitting and I don't know where his parents are. They were supposed to be here 2 hours ago. They basically treated it as they would a lost child. They took him down to the station. Little Miss finally rolls up at 3 p.m. and gets belligerent when she discovers I had actually called the cops and gave her child to them. She calls me all sorts of wonderful names and storms down to the police station. Not the jerk. OP and their partner were trying to do something nice for these people and they took way too much advantage. They agreed and understood that they wanted them picked up at 9 a.m. They blew right through that, didn't care, called you a witch. They deserved every little bit of it. I feel bad for the kid. The kid needs better parents. Honestly, I hope the police keep a record of that. This next story is from ScreenNice4263. Would I be the jerk if I asked my cousin to use my breast milk when her baby's born? So I've been debating on this question for the last week and saw another post on here to do with breast milk, and it made me decide that this might be a good place to get feedback on if this would make me a jerk to ask this, even though it's wildly different situations. I recently lost my 9-week-old daughter to SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, and it's been a traumatic time for me, I won't lie. My cousin's due any day now with her own baby, a girl too. My cousin had a double mastectomy to combat cancer 4 years ago, and this girl is conceived from an embryo she and her husband had frozen before she began treatment. This does, however, mean she won't be able to nurse, and there is a formula shortage right now. I'm still producing milk, and it seems a waste to dispose of it. My cousin and I grew up like sisters and had plans for our children to grow up similarly. She even planned the implantation of the embryo around when I was trying to fall pregnant to ensure their ages were close. I want to offer my milk to my cousin for her baby, as someone should get use of it, and I love my cousin and her future baby. To be clear, as I know some people will misunderstand, I don't want to nurse her baby at my breast. I would pump the milk as I'm doing right now anyway, and drop it around at her house. I have no health issues or anything that would make this milk problematic for her baby. My issue is I wonder if asking this would be insensitive and a reminder of my loss and also her inability to nurse her child. I've not been in the best of places because of my grief, and I'm aware enough to know that perhaps this is making me unable to judge if this would be a step too far or inappropriate. Would this be out of line to offer? I'd not push if she said no, of course. I actually think this is a very reasonable thing to offer. There's no hiding the fact that the best thing for a newborn baby is actual breast milk, and you have supply, they have demand, and OP said they're really close, so I don't see why it would be an issue. Frankly, I think if the cousin was ever offended by this, it would be a really personal thing that is kind of them lashing out unnecessarily and not because that would be an appropriate reaction. Honestly, I think it's amazing that OP would offer. And our final story of the day is from theory number 96. Am I the jerk for refusing to change bikinis? I'll start by saying that where I live, not the US, it's rather hot at the moment and it's pool party season. My grandparents own a house with a big pool, and so weekly or bi-weekly, my family gather just to have fun and swim. My grandparents don't mind since they don't really do anything besides offer the house. We all cook, buy snacks, get the place ready, and then clean. 2 years ago, my sister married their now husband, who happens to be one of my exes. At first, I was horrified because they began to date pretty quickly, but now I don't mind. We don't interact much, never have, so at previous gatherings, we would just be in on our business, not really caring about the other. She's usually with our cousins and our parents, while I'm with our grandparents and some aunts and uncles. Her husband, whom I'll call Mike, is always there of course, but we don't talk to each other, and she's pregnant 26 weeks. Last Sunday, we were getting the garden ready when she came to see me and asked me to change. I was already wearing my bikini with a see-through dress over it. It was a normal one, but I have a bigger chest than her and she was fuming. I asked if I had something or what, and she said, "No, but I'm pregnant and I don't feel my best. I don't want Mike looking at you." I was confused and looked at Mike, who was playing with one of my cousins, not really paying attention. I said she didn't really have to worry about Mike, but this made her angrier and told me not to act like we were buddies and go change. I said, "Sorry, no, I won't change." She said I was trying to get her husband's attention, and I actually laughed because what the freak? I said if that bothered her so much, she should have thought of that before getting with my ex. My grandpa got in the middle and told us to stop. He told my sister I wasn't changing, and he asked me to say sorry for my last comment. I did, and she wasn't happy. Later on, my mom came to me with another bikini and told me to go change. But I decided to just go home, and it caused my grandpa to scold both my sister and mom for making his house a hostile environment. And now they're both mad at me because I should have just changed. Am I the jerk? I think OP's not the jerk here. This is a family get-together. It's a pool party. People are gonna be wearing bikinis. Bottom line though, it is never the fault of the person who gets ogled for causing the person who is ogling to do so. If you're that worried about your husband oohing and awing, well then I guess you're just gonna have to sit there the whole time watching them, maybe hand them a blindfold. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another Am I the Jerk Here story that was way crazier than any of the ones in this video, click on that left video. Or, if you missed my latest video, check out the one on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.